Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. Come on in, take a seat, and join us as we discuss Homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. My name is Thomas the Human Bard, and I'm joined today by...
Mercy the Tiefling Wizard.
Onog the Half-orc Barbarian.
And has anyone seen... I know that Bean went on that boat trip in those siren-infested waters.
Right. Has anyone heard from Bean since?
Has anyone checked up on Bean since then?
Shoot.
Oh,
do you have that sending stone somewhere still?
I
it was in my pocket.
I tried using a sending stone, and all I got was just like really loud squealing and static. So I
got a new sending stone, so I do need
means.
everyone to send me their sending stone numbers again, because I've lost them all.
Oh yeah, we'll sync them up.
Yeah,
Anyway, she's probably fine.
Yeah, don't worry about it. On today's episode, we are catching up on listener submissions sent in by you, our viewers, our listeners, the patrons of the Copper Fox Inn. Thank you so much for all the submissions that we have received. On today's episode, we will be covering two submissions. The first, a player race option, and the second, a subclass for the Paladin class. Mercy, do you want to get us started off with the player race that was submitted?
This player race was sent to us by Bluenix, and this is not the first thing that we've covered from them, so they're a friend of the channel, friend of the show.
I do believe last time we said Bluenix, which we were corrected in the email, is Bluenix.
Bluenix, like Phoenix. And this is the Igneuses. I hope I'm saying that right, like Igneous and Pisces, probably. This is the Igneuses, so I immediately am obsessed with this art.
It's very good
so
art.
Pretty. I love that. So this is basically a lava mermaid, lava merfolk. Very, very cool concept. So just to dive right in here to the Igneuses traits. Your Igneuses character possesses traits necessary for living in molten environments. Ability score increase, your strength score increases by 2, and your constitution score increases by 1. Age, Igneuses come into being fully formed.
Oh, they're chunky.
Yeah, they're chonky, strong in
They
constitution.
have to withstand the heat of the flames.
Yeah. They come into being fully formed. Though they do not age, their bodies can develop cosmetic cracks after a century or so, similar to wrinkles. So they just appear fully grown.
Sort of just magical. Just
Yeah.
like they appear out
They
of the
pop out of
ether.
the ground like daisies.
Yeah. But out of the lava, specifically. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. It feels more magical and like fey-like almost. Igneuses do not have concrete lifespans. Concrete. Because they're
Okay.
But their spark but their spark has been known to fade after 3 centuries or so, particularly if one is content with all they have accomplished. Some even opt to stylistically pose themselves in their final moments to be preserved as art forever, as they like harden into
Is
rock.
that beautiful or like horrifying?
Just
I can't quite
so
tell.
extra.
I mean, I would do that for sure. For sure.
To become like a living, beautiful statue. Well, not living anymore, I guess, but like what was once
beautiful
living.
dead statue.
Don't we
100%.
all, I
You could
suppose,
probably
become statues?
reignite it.
Calcium statues as we die?
Fossilized or whatever.
Just our bones, really, is what I'm trying to
Sure.
say. If you
Everybody becomes a statue if you wait long enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do that with rigor mortis. It just wouldn't last forever as beautiful art.
Yeah, definitely.
Alignment. Igneuses do not necessarily tend towards good or evil. Great, love that. Depending on the individual disposition, one might find varying practicalities for lawfulness or chaos to facilitate their creative endeavors. Amphibious. You can breathe in both air and natural lava. That's what amphibious means, right?
Okay, oh,
Wait.
excuse me, but Professor?
Frogs
That's not what
breathe
amphibious
lava.
means.
Amphibious is already in the books. It means air and water. I don't think you can...
What is lava but rock water, you know?
Okay, so here's the actual thing. Yes. So
Oh, that's a thing.
so
yeah.
technically, yes, I saw a video posted, I think by like Hank Green or something.
Yeah,
a while
Hank
ago,
Green
who
went
was
on a
like,
rant.
I guess lava is water, and I guess
Or
ice
no, it's
is a rock.
because ice is a rock, then that means technically water is lava.
Interesting.
Like two geologists
That's very interesting.
in geological academia, it is considered. So I guess maybe that fine.
Thirsty?
Fine.
On a cold day? Drink some lava. It's like water.
That famous Onion.
They're the same.
The Onion post where it's like man touches lava and then smugly refuses to tell us what it feels like.
That's very good. All right, sizzling rest. While outside of an igneous environment, an Igneouses must perform a long rest daily within an intense thermal source, such as a large campfire, to prevent petrification. After 24 hours without replenishing their internal heat in this way, there is a cumulative 20% chance of gaining the petrified condition until they perform such a long rest.
Oh.
I really like that one.
It's cool because it's
That's harsh.
it is harsh, for sure, but it's also
got flavor.
as soon as you get a long rest in fire, it's gone, right? So it's like
It's not
doesn't
permanent
say
death.
that. It says
it says
it lowers the petrification chance. It doesn't say it removes petrification.
Well, but
No,
you
I
gain
think-
the petrified condition until they perform such a long rest. So you would lose the petrified condition once you've been placed back in a heat source for a long
No,
rest.
it does. It says there is a cumulative 20% chance of gaining the petrified condition until they perform such a long rest.
Oh,
I'm
that's
not sure.
that's a tricky syntax thing. I'm not sure
So
which is
yeah,
the
that's,
intended
that,
reading
if
of
that's
that.
the intention, if your interpretation is the intention, then it just needs a wording rework. But
I hadn't even noticed that it could be read that way. So yeah, okay.
That's a good catch though, Odon, because it's like if a player interprets it one way and the DM interprets it another, they're gonna have a problem when they
they're gonna have
Die.
a problem when their character dies
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they didn't take one long rest in a fire.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Because if we assume that it means that if you wake up and you're petrified and your party goes, oh shoot, and they just like build a fire and stick you in it, that you'll be okay again, then I love that because it's really just cool flavor and world building, and it isn't just like
it's also-
harshly dangerous.
It also does add a little bit of danger for when you're
Yeah.
on like an Arctic campaign and it's like the second day you haven't been able to successfully build a fire or something. It's like, oh no.
And it's a cumulative 20%, so that means the next day it's 40%,
40%.
and then the next day it's 60%.
And eventually it's 100%. Yeah.
And then it's
Yeah.
120%.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting because it's obviously like inspired by the grung thing of like you
Yeah.
rest in
Yeah.
water every so often or else you get a negative penalty. But it's interesting in the ways that it's kind of slightly different from that.
Yeah,
know, it's
I
much
do
more
like
punishing.
this variation on a theme. It's not just exhaustion. It's like it's a whole thing.
Yeah. For
Oh,
sure.
Nog, I know you've played a grung before. Do you know off the top of your head what is the exact punishment? Do they just gain levels of exhaustion for
Yeah,
grung?
so grungs gain level of exhaustion that can only be returned by. Grungs have to take a long rest, or once every long rest have to bathe for an hour in like a source of water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
and-
lava is, we've established.
We just
Yes, as we have discussed, lava technically
Flame
is.
grung.
No, but
Ooh.
and their punishment if they do not do this is they gain a source of exhaustion, and this source of exhaustion cannot be removed until they take a long rest in a source of water and or magically remove it. So you can't just take a
Okay.
long rest to get rid of these exhaustion, because that's normally where a level of
It
exhaustion
has
is removed.
to be in water. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it has to be in water.
So that is very similar. Just a little
Yeah,
bit
it's very
different.
it's very
Petrified is different than
similar,
exhaustion.
except this
Yeah,
petrification is a lot harsher than a level of exhaustion.
definitely.
But I mean, that's the thing, is it's you're a lava fish. What do you what do you want? You need to melt.
The general vibe of kind of all the mechanics in this feel very much like if you are on the plane of fire, you're going to be doing great.
If you're,
You're
doing
gonna
a
have a
lava
wonderful
campaign, like it makes perfect sense.
If you're on volcanic islands, you're going to be just fine. But if you're not,
If you're trying to just do like a city campaign, and you're like, I'll be a lava mermaid. Like
I
it's
don't know
not
if that's going to go well for you.
It's not gonna track. I don't think.
Unless it's like a cool metropolitan city that has like lava bathhouses
Lava hotels.
because there's a lot of these. That's
Yeah.
actually kind of rad.
That's also cool. I mean, magic fantasy worlds are great to build with stuff like that.
Yeah,
We're like, oh,
love
just go to
that.
the lava district.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
You probably don't get to the lava district often.
Get out of here, Nazim. That's pretty
Get
cool.
suplexed, Nazim.
So languages, Common and Ignan.
Ignin is the fire elemental version of primordial. It's always a fun, weird distinction because in the player's handbook, it's only ever referred to as primordial.
Right.
but literally nowhere else is it ever referred to as primordial. It's always its specific
Really?
dialects, and it's like,
I've never noticed.
What does that mean?
Look, 5th edition's a perfectly designed system with no flaws or oversights. Okay?
No gaps or holes anywhere.
Nope.
All right. Leidenfrost, or Leidenfrost, I guess. If it's a German word, it would be
Not sure.
Leidenfrost flesh. Your obsidian skin is safe and naturally warm to the touch, similar to the porcelain of a hot bath. How pleasant. You are immune to fire damage and vulnerable to cold damage. Due to
Okay, there
your
we
body's
go.
molten anatomy, while you are in direct contact with precipitation, your movement decreases by 10 feet. Every turn you are in contact with a body of water, you immediately take cold damage according to the table below without doubling due to vulnerability. Okay, so
This is just regular.
yeah, you just take this straight. And then it has a chart here of like wet palm 1d4 damage per turn, drenched limb 1d6, treading water 2d4, total submersion 2d6
Per turn.
per turn. Yeah, so you really can't go swimming.
Don't throw you in a lake.
That'll
Yikes.
be bad. You'll
Which is
die.
weird since we just established that water is lava.
Yeah.
I'm just. It's about being cold, not about being.
Well,
lava.
and right here is already it's like you see, okay, this is why there are such harsh penalties. You have immunity to the most popular damage type in the
Right.
entire game.
Fire is fully immune, yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
I actually,
amazing.
I was reading an interesting little a post somebody had made that they, a well thought out post. They put a lot into it, kind of a mini essay, where they talked about the difference between being immune to a damage type and being resistant. And how you think of those as just one being leveled up from the other one. It's like, well, you become resistant, and then the kind of next step is immune. But because of how D&D works in its mechanics and its math, they're so far apart from each other
Yeah.
Right.
in terms of how they interact with the game. And being immune to something is incredibly good.
Yeah.
It's so much better than just being resistant to something. Because it's
Yeah,
you, you can't take damage from it. It eliminates an entire damage system from the game for you. Whereas
yeah.
resistance modifies how much damage, makes you like a little sturdier. But this opens up pathways and exploration options, and it's like it interacts with so much more of the game.
It makes me think about how in a campaign where I was playing a tiefling not too long ago, we woke up and our tavern was on fire.
Yeah.
And there were still some people inside, and so I was resistant to fire. So I was like, "Oh, I'll run through the tavern to try and rescue people."
And it almost killed you.
And I did rescue some people, but then I did just have to leave and hope everyone was out at a certain point because I was still about to die. Like it bought me a little time, but I still was gonna die. Whereas if you're immune, you could literally just take your sweet time, check
go back
every
to bed.
corner, like get everyone's belongings, go back to bed. Yeah, like
All right, wake me
you're-
up in the morning.
You're fine.
Well, it's one of those things that like gets opened up specifically for rogues and monks at 7th level when they get evasion.
Yeah.
When it's like if there's something that's a dexterity-based save, they have a huge chance of being immune to it, and their survivability skyrockets.
It's
Like
huge.
I've played. I was playing a hyper high level campaign, like 16th, 17th level, as my little Feywin like monk character, and everyone else was being taken down by the fireballs being thrown out by the dragon we were fighting, and Feywin survived and just ran up and just started shanking the dragon. When everyone else was being taken out, this little girl is just running up and just, no, you can't hurt me.
Yeah, it's huge. I love the mental image of the water damage too, because I think it
yes,
makes
it's
me
very
think of
good.
like a blacksmith submerging,
Quenching
quenching something that's red hot. I just think that's cool. That's good, like theater of the mind. Magmaborn. You have advantage on nature checks that involve molten environments. While submerged in lava, you also have advantage on any athletics checks and dexterity saving throws. So again, if that comes up a lot, you're doing great.
If you're in a lot of lava, man, you're really good.
Yeah.
If you're not, if the party has to carry you around because you just have a tail.
I feel like this is one of those things that if you want to play one of them, you gotta talk to your DM.
You've gotta build a
and be
campaign.
like, hey, can this like work out for me like
Well,
sometimes?
In some ways, which is interesting, we see this a lot with different parts of the game, specifically like magic items and stuff, where this might not be very frequently like a viable player option, but it could be a cool
very
NPC,
cool NPC.
right? It could
Yeah.
be cool
That's true.
for the DM to populate the world with a few of these, or you meet a small town of them, and
yeah.
one of them's like,
And
"I'll
they just
come
live
with you."
in the lava flows.
Yeah, they live in
It's
the
like
lava.
when you go to visit the like Gorons, and there's just all these
in
lava people in
Legend
Legend
of
of
Zelda,
Zelda, yeah, Breath of the Wild. You go to like Goron Town,
Yeah.
and there's just a bunch of these cool lava people.
But
I
you're
do
actively on fire, and they're like, "Yo, you
appreciate
good?"
that their skin is safe and pleasantly warm because it means that they are still dateable NPCs.
Yeah, they are still cuddleable.
That's very important.
Yes.
It also is kind of great because it's like if you're in the frigid mountains and you've got one of these in your party, it becomes like symbiotic to like everyone just huddle around me at night because I cannot get cold, but I will keep you warm.
Yeah.
But if I get cold, then I will stop
If I
moving
start-
and die.
If I start
die.
getting too cold, help me.
Pyre Peak. You cannot be blinded by intense light. While submerged in lava, your senses are replaced with a tremor sense of 20 feet, limited to creatures and objects in contact with the same contiguous body of lava. That's
Okay.
cool. I like that. That makes sense.
I've never heard the phrase contiguous body of lava, which I get, it's like body of water. But man, it just like weirds out my brain to think of it that way. Like lava
Aren't
and
you
water.
a contiguous body of
Like,
lava in a way? You know,
You can
like,
you can
Of water
basically
lava,
see
yeah.
through veins of lava once you
Yeah.
are immersed in them.
I really
Okay.
like that.
I also like the kind of just ribbon benefit of like you cannot be blinded by intense light, which, you know, would theoretically apply to certain monsters' abilities or spell effects or anything like that. Like the blinded condition, if caused by an intense light effect, just doesn't work on you.
Doesn't do anything to you.
I really enjoy kind of bold, risky classes and races that have intense pros and intense cons. I think we had some of that with the player race that we talked about last week, the wibbly wobbly balloon boys. You know?
Right, I had forgotten, and then once you said balloon, I immediately it all
Right.
flooded back. I'd repressed those memories.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like that we've got some of that with this one too, where it's like you're just immune to fire and you can't be blinded by bright light, but you'll also die if someone splashes a bucket of water on you. So
Watch out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Size, and this one took me a minute to understand, but size. With your legs out, an average Igneous is about half a foot shorter than an average elf, with
I
a
feel
standard
like we
height.
missed a step somewhere.
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah,
there.
yeah,
We'll
yeah. Of 4.5 to 5.5 feet. With your tail out, you are 6 to 7 feet long. Your size is medium. So
And
you
including
can,
including your hat and heels, you're 9 foot 3 inches tall.
but so clearly you can switch between a mermaid tail and legs. But it never like said that before that point. So I was
it says
like,
it
what?
later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Says
but it does say it
yeah,
later.
Yeah.
So, strong swimmer. Due to a physique designed to swim in molten rock, you have proficiency in the athletics skill.
You know, when I was
Nice.
growing up, a lot of people told me that I had a molten rock swimmer's body.
Really?
And I didn't understand what that meant, but now as I glow from within with an internal heat, I see what it means now.
It means you are very svelte and have artistically placed like calluses that look like clothes.
Yes, I have rocks growing from my body that are also the clothes I'm wearing. Interesting.
Tail shift. You can spend a bonus action to transform your tail into a pair of legs or vice versa.
Do you have to give up your voice to a sea hag? Or I guess
Yes.
a lava hag?
Yes.
Volcano hag?
Yes. Your legs have a base walking speed of 30 feet. While your tail is out, you instead have a 10-foot crawling speed and a 40-foot swim speed. Okay, yeah, so you do have an innate swim speed. I like that because obviously the idea is that you can swim through lava,
Yeah.
but you could also have a very cool and dramatic sequence akin to like Hercules swimming through the Hades goo to get Meg, but he's like dying the longer he like
Oh,
swims in there.
yeah.
And
Oh,
it's
that'd
like,
be so
what if
cool.
you as an Igneous have to like
Your
dive
friend's
into the
drowning,
water
and
and
you're
you're
like-
taking damage and you're like sizzling, but you're faster than anyone else and you gotta reach him in time.
That's
Oh,
pretty great.
jeez.
I really like that.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that's
jeez.
pretty rad.
Dramatic moment.
But
Yeah, I
then,
love that.
but also because you're receiving cold damage because you're wet.
Oh yeah, total
Oh, yeah,
submersion.
yeah. So you're dying.
You're taking 2d6 cold damage, but also your movement speed is decreased by 10 anyways.
Oh, so you're actually back to 30.
Yeah, so you're actually well, you still have a swim speed of 30, which is likely going to be higher than anyone else's natural swim speed.
That's pretty cool. I actually like that possibility. And then note, for purposes of spell effects, your creature type is humanoid. All right, and then we have some flavor text. Who among those with a common sense of beauty are not in some way fascinated by merfolk? The Afriti king Dionalem certainly shared this appreciation. So great was his envy of the Marids, who possessed such servants in their ocean palaces, that he commissioned sculptors and elementalists to create a new merfolk who could endure the
Merfolk 2.
who could endure the fiery city of brass. The species that resulted were the Ignices.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay.
If merfolk are so good, why isn't there Merfolk 2? Oh, wait!
Why isn't there fire?
Mermaids of elemental fire. Ignices are not organic creatures like their water-dwelling counterparts. They are fundamentally elementals, requiring neither nourishment nor rest. Yet Ignices are fully living beings. They have feelings, dreams, and passions. Ignices especially have a penchant for art.
They have feelings, dreams, and passions, but only those three things.
Nothing else.
Nothing.
No fears,
Nothing
no
else.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
Ignices especially have a penchant for art, themselves owing an existence to artistic creation. It was due to the creative constraints and boredom under creepy Dionalem's obsession that they rebelled and escaped from his kingdom. Having gained freedom, they prefer to live artistic and unfettered lives, though large bodies of water can get in the way of that. Some Ignices consider the ultimate artistry to be procreation. Wink.
Whoa.
Wow. Through masterful sculpture, they can fashion an entire new Ignices into existence and transfer a part of their own arcane spark into a new being.
I guess.
So it's sort of like
Fine.
molding your kids from clay
Yeah,
stuff.
I get it. But
Okay.
no smoochy times.
You know, some people like to smooch, some people like to mold kids from clay, and
Sculpt
you know,
their children from the clay of the earth. yeah.
exactly. Who am I to judge? Life in lava. Ignices society is often far simpler than that of other races, especially when living on the material plane, because most materials and resources perish in their natural habitat. They are usually solitary or found in small groups within volcanoes and underground reservoirs of magma. They spend countless hours making obsidian structures via the splashing and cooling of lava.
Oh, very cool.
That's rad.
Yep.
A lava pool inhabited by Ignices will have curled towers that resemble waves of black glass. Yes, please. More recently, some Ignices have built stone boardwalks to allow mortal traders into parts of their volcanic cities. Yes, 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 I want to go there.
And they've got caricature artists. They got hot dogs on a stick. You know, the classic
This is so
boardwalk.
cool. Still, much is undiscovered about the fiery merfolk due to the adverse conditions in which they thrive. I love all of that flavor. I want to go visit them right now.
I love the line, because most materials and resources perish in their natural habitat. Just for there's like a meme of being like, then perish. But I'm a plant. How can I then perish?
It's like
can die.
the Ignis traveler player character returns home and just all of their armor and weapons just immediately burst into flame.
Immolate. Yeah.
It's just Breath of the Wild. You go to the Goron town and you just burst into flame if you're not wearing the right
That's the worst. You
gear.
fast travel to Goron
And then
town
you
and you forgot to
explode
put your
into
armor
fire.
on and you're like, ah!
Yeah, exactly. Man, I love that. An elemental creation's end. Being fundamentally a magical creation, death comes slightly differently to Ignices than other races. At death's door, their non-existent organs do not fail, their souls do not depart. Instead, the magic infused within them can no longer sustain their body's animation.
There is no heaven for you.
Pretty dark!
I mean,
No afterlife.
in a way, though, that's interesting because in the D&D multiverse, which this is very specifically referencing, like, the Afriti King,
Yeah,
Dianelem,
yeah.
and, like, you know, some actual kind of, like, Forgotten Realms-y type stuff. It does matter a lot where your soul goes when you die,
Yeah.
because there's all of the wheel of the, you know, different realms after death and all that. So for them, they don't partake in that
That's pretty
part of their magic just kind of
intense.
fades off and then they become a statue.
Dang. Alright, and then we have some box text here, dropping to 0 hit points. You gain the petrified condition, though your weight and the items you are carrying are unaffected. You lose this condition only by regaining hit points, remaining on warm, dry land for 1d4 hours, or submerged in lava for 10 minutes. Every turn you remain at 0 hit points, you must make a death save until you have 3 successes or failures. Taking additional damage at 0 HP does not affect your death saves, so that's
Okay.
unusual.
I mean, because you're a statue.
Yet
Sure.
another benefit you gain.
Yeah, you're harder to kill, yeah.
Failing 3 death saves means that the arcane spark inside of you has been snuffed out, and nothing short of resurrection, true resurrection, or wish can reignite it. Spells or effects such as Revivify, Raise Dead, or Reincarnate have no effect on Igniases.
I mean,
Okay,
raised dead,
once
I
you get-
understand. You're rock. But reincarnate? You can't bring me back as an elf? What's up with that?
I guess you don't have a soul?
You don't
Like,
have a soul to reincarnate.
There's no soul to put in something else.
Interesting.
Also, what are the
Yeah.
implications of not having a soul other, like, oh gosh.
World building.
Oh boy.
Yikes.
So that's interesting. It's interesting that you can't do it by like throwing them in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be lava, or they have to just remain on warm, dry land. That's interesting.
I mean,
wouldn't
like,
have
being in a
expected
fire,
it.
I would count as, like, warm and dry kind of a thing. But yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
I'm more surprised that you can just be on warm, dry land and don't have to be in a fire.
Geez,
How
though.
warm, I guess.
Just another, like, syntax notation is, like, is this the same kind of petrification that takes place if you haven't taken a long rest? Like, what does that imply? What does that mean? Just,
Sure.
when multiple things cause the same status effect, you have to be very careful with your wording and stuff like
Does
that.
the same thing release you from it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. That could, probably use a little
Because
bit
this
of
only
clarification.
mentions how you return from 0 hit points. It doesn't have anything to do with the petrified condition. I just assume the petrified condition is removed once you have regained hit points, kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Ignices names. Most Ignices possess a mononym named by their creator. Ignices do, however, take on a new name that they may choose for themselves later in life, upon which their original name becomes supplemental. This decision often marks the point in an Ignices life when they feel they have surpassed their creator's vision. That's cool. Given names: Alan, Ansaris,
Booyeth.
Estari,
Whoops, somebody spilled a Scrabble bag over here.
Estari, Fasan, Facera, Galfus, Girard, Meldisla,
Madlile.
This is more
Madlile,
fun. Just listening to you
Marseille,
try to pronounce the
Nissel,
names.
Nosith, Palorsh, Salth, and chosen names include Aprisi, Cherusit, Hegel, Jekor, Sayo, Tez, Voragai, and Yonda.
You guys ever see Jekor? I heard that movie wasn't actually that good.
I do love that there's, like, really no real distinction between, like, given names and chosen names. Like, they're all just not,
They're all just Scrabble bags.
These are great random magical fantasy names, but it's like, why are they different? What's the difference between a chosen name and a given name? Why are there different categories?
Yeah, if they're all just sort of like, fantasy sounds.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the flavor thing, it's like they get their given name by their sculptor, but if they,
Like,
progress...
that's a really cool part of society, but, like, then, like, when the list is
Why are
just,
they
it's the
categorized
same
differently?
list of random noises.
If
Yeah.
they say it to you, you won't know which group it falls under.
Sure.
Right.
Which,
sure.
I mean, I do kind of like that, where it's like, no, that was my chosen name. And you're like, I can't tell your names apart. They all sound the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah. Is this a situation where Igniaces would be like, those sound very different?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't
Maybe
speak
we're being
Ignan.
culturally insensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there's some credits here at the end. So the art included in these is The Diva Makes Her Entrance by Harkale Lanai and
Nice.
Lava Mermaid by Sandara Tang. And this creature was inspired by Igniaces from the Grinning Wyrm D&D, which is a Tumblr that we will link to in the description as well.
Nice.
Yeah. They post just like their own D&D homebrews and stuff. So they must have at one point posted this as a monster stat block, which then was adjusted here to become a
full
player
player
race
race.
option. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
All in all, I really enjoy it. I like that it's a strong choice. It's something that I would like play for a one-off where I knew that was going to be fine, like in an environment where it would work out. Like, I think
Definitely.
it's cool.
I think, like I had said earlier, I love the idea of this as an NPC you meet or as a group of NPCs you meet that you help out or whatever. I think, personally, in my way of thinking about D&D, negatives, like really harsh punishments on things like player race choices or even like classes and subclasses, they always, like, in writing, seem really, like, interesting and like, ooh, I'll have to pay this price to get this gain. But in
Then
that
in
way
practicality, it always feels
yeah,
bad.
you never do it. In practicality, you just go, oh, well, I'll just never do the thing that hurts me then. Why would I? You know what I mean? Like, and so when this is put up against just like another player race option to choose from, it's like, I have so much more to worry about with this. Though it is a cool vibe and a cool flavor and all that, like, I understand the kind of person who would like something like this. But I think when you put a bunch of... And that's, I think, why Wizards of the Coast recently has more or less just decided...
They've walked back
no
negatives,
negatives,
qualifiers.
no negative modifiers on anything. Not even just, like, ability scores, but, like, you don't even really get negative, like, features anymore. Like, punishing features. You only get, like, features that open up new paths to you. And so I get it. Like, you want to commit to the bit of you're made of lava. It's going to really be bad for you if you're in water or whatever. But I feel like it's so punishing. And the benefit is, like, you're immune to fire damage. Very cool. Very good. But I don't know if it would ever be worth it to me to really try it.
I think, from a game design perspective, I agree with Wizards of the Coast that your sort of base player's handbook races shouldn't have negatives. It should feel like, oh, just choose this fun flavor that gives you these new options and abilities. But I do personally, and I think I might be in a minority in this, but I do really enjoy with homebrew or expanded lore things having options with strong drawbacks. I do sometimes when I'm making my characters, like, I'll intentionally dump a stat and then just choose to be even worse at it than I have to be in roleplay, because I like feeling that, because I feel like it creates drama and I'm dramatic. So I enjoy that, but I know that a lot of people don't. Like, I don't mind if I die in a cool dramatic way, but I know a lot of people don't like that.
Well, I really like this because it feels so much like, even just flavor-wise, just reading it, it feels even more of I am a fiery lava person than like than a fire genasi. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Fire race does. But so the thing I'm worried about isn't actually the downsides. The downsides are things like you can agree with. The actual thing that bothers me is the benefits you get. Because it's unless the rest of the party somehow can gain these benefits, then, like, how are you, if no one else is a Ignatius or what is it, Ignis?
Yeah, sure.
Ignices, then you're the only one who can go into lava without almost instantly dying. And so if you want to utilize the benefits you get from this race, you have to be leaving your party behind constantly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of like the warlock has Devil's Sight scenario, so they keep casting darkness on the enemy, which then negates
Hurts
all the
your own
advantage
party.
your
Yeah.
own party has against the creature. But you have advantage on them now because you can see them, but then you're casting darkness, so no one else has advantage anymore. And so the rest of the party feels bad that you're utilizing your benefits because it actually negatively impacts them. That's the only scenario I'm thinking of where it's like that, where I very much agree with Mercy that it's like this is a very niche scenario that you would pick, because otherwise if you're doing this in a long campaign and it's something that would benefit you, everyone else is in trouble.
I think that's really like interesting, and that's a really good point to bring up. I think that there's some of that in even, officially published races and stuff where it's very context dependent on whether that feels like a cool benefit or like a detriment to the party's play. Because if you're playing like an ocean faring pirating campaign and one of the party is like a Triton or somebody with an innate swim speed and can breathe underwater, and no one else is, and you're all level 1, so you don't have access to like water breathing potions and magical.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's not just like, ooh, it's neat, I can go like swim under a lake in our forest campaign or whatever. It's now I get to play half the game that you don't get to play.
Yeah,
And so
you're
it's like
splitting the party.
It's very context dependent on whether or not that's really good to explore or can be frustrating for your group if they don't have ways of kind of joining into that fun.
Because because it becomes like either I am utilizing the skill I have that no one else has and no one else can join me and be part of that narrative, or I'm not utilizing the skill I have and therefore it is being wasted. So there you have to skirt that line, particularly as a DM with that kind of campaign.
For sure. But overall, though, it is a great like a great flavor, a really cool design, a really cool concept.
Absolutely. And I don't think that that's even necessarily a design critique, because that's just going to be the case with any sort of strong choice you make for a player race. And it just makes it so that either you have to have a really niche setting where your whole party's kind of in on this together, or it just makes for a really cool NPC to sort of populate your world with. And I like that a lot. And thank you, Blue Nix, for sending this to us. As always, don't forget to send us your homebrews at thecopperfoxinn@gmail.com. And wait, do you hear that? Do you
Hear what?
Is my cauldron bubbling over? Shoot, I have to go check on something.
Oh, I thought
Your
that was the
cauldron of
ambient
everything?
noise.
Yeah, my hideous cauldron of everything laughter.
Of all the laughing things.
But everything was in that cauldron.
Yeah, no, I gotta go fix that, guys. Yeah, just keep going without me. I gotta go.
Okay, sorry. Well, with Mercy heading out there, we are actually going to have to call this episode early. Sorry. I know earlier we said that we were going to also cover a Paladin subclass option, but you'll just have to tune in next episode for when we have time to cover that. Thank you again to Blue Nix for the submission, and we will be...
Great job. Excellent flavor.
Yes.
Now we know what lava tastes like.
And we'll never share that information with anyone else. We'll hold it greedily. If you have your homebrews you'd like to submit to us that for us to review on the show, send them to us at our email, thecopperfoxinn@gmail.com, or on social media at thecopperfoxinn. We are going to also be continuing to review just homebrews we find across the internet. If you have a creator that you follow, that you enjoy their homebrew, you can also let us know about them. Send us a link to their work, and we'll try to feature it on the show. We have some other video plans coming up soon for different types of content that we'll be creating, so also continue to comment below with any thoughts you have about the kinds of D&D content you'd like to see us do on this channel. Things like live play D&D streams or DM tips and things like that. Whatever you want out of your D&D content, let us know in the comments below.
And don't forget to subscribe so you can find out about that Paladin subclass.
It's the big cliffhanger. We're having to end the session early this week, so the big cliffhanger, Paladin subclass, we'll just have to wait till the start of next session. But we will be starting next session in initiative, so don't forget your initiative order.
Oh gosh.
And until then, we wish you all the best and to stay safe out there and keep on adventuring.
Bye.